Hello friends, I haven't made a video in a while, so I'm going to catch you up on a little bit of what we've been up to. This was filmed in early September through today actually. But here we are planting winter wheat, probably the first or second week of September, with an Agpro drill. And the Agpro is a drill that I have wanted to try for several years. It was designed by my cousin, who co-founded the Agpro company in Lewiston, Idaho. They've been building drills and application equipment for a number of years now. In the fall, the drill was pulled by a 600 horsepower case quad track with a pair of 5 1/4 bottles on the front for liquid fertilizer. The drill is 42 feet wide, has a 100 bushel seed tank, a small 300 gallon fertilizer tank, and a 1600 gallon fertilizer tank on the main frame. Each of the openers has its own hydraulic cylinder so that the down pressure is matched evenly across the entire drill. It really seems to work good for depth control. I've got a real quick parking lot shot of what the openers look like that I'm going to put up here now. Now these openers have got a coulter in front of them, which is just a disc designed to cut residue and make it easier for the knife to go through. The knife's just a narrow knife with a point on it that puts fertilizer below, and then it has paired rows again in the back. You can see these two holes, one here and one here, where the seed comes out. Let's see if I don't know if we can see underneath here very well, but down below there's kind of a plate that makes the earth firm, and fertilizer comes out below that. And then at the back of the opener, we have a pair of packer wheels run on each side of the furrow, and they close it right up and firm up the seed for better seed to soil contact. Helps get it up quicker that way. So the openers on this drill are on 12-inch spacing, and with the paired row, that gives it about the same effect as an 8 or 9-inch row spacing. So you get pretty good canopy from the crop without over cultivating the soil too much. It seems to be a really good combination for this area. The one big problem that we had this fall happened at the end of this draw. James was rolling along up here, and I don't know at what point he realized it, but one of the duals from under the fertilizer tank broke off and rolled out the back. It didn't seem to slow that tractor down much, although it must have pulled a lot harder. You can just see that wheel sitting down there in the draw. I was clear down at the far end of the draw flying the drone, and I saw James stop up here, and I thought, boy, that's a crazy place to park. I didn't realize for a few minutes that he was broke down. Well, the next morning, a couple of young gentlemen from J&M Fabrication showed up with their welding truck, and between them and two guys from the local co-op that were running this drill, they spent most of the day chasing tires, because it wrecked both of the tires when they came out, and building parts and welding everything back together. They were done before supper, but not by a whole lot. But after that, everything ran really well the rest of fall. It was pretty uneventful. Well, with the drill fixed, it only took James another day to finish up the home place and get moved on to the next farm. I didn't take very much video down at the river because the smoke moved in. You can see that haze hanging in the air, and it was just nasty. I didn't feel like being out flying the drone in that. It's hard enough just being outside and trying to breathe. Well, by early November, we'd caught a few rains, and even the wheat that didn't hit moisture when we were planting was up, and it looked pretty good. Well, we went into winter with some pretty good potential. In fact, really good potential. This is kind of the stand you always hope you're going to have this time of year. Winter came, and it rolled through about as smooth and easy as winter ever could. Got to spend a lot of time hanging out with the girls and a few other calves. This was in mid-February when we had the only real cold and snow that we had this year. And it snowed in the low 20s, so this snow is super dry and fluffy. Didn't do much for our moisture situation, but it made for some of the best skiing on the mountain a person could ever hope for. I even got to hang out with the kids once in a while. These little characters have made my life pretty interesting for the last few months. Well, by early March, the ground had settled down enough so a guy could get around without any trouble, and it was warm enough that I was out loading hay bales in my shirt sleeves, so it seemed like the perfect time to get rolling and get some crop in the ground. I know a lot of guys will tell you that early seasons are not good for crop production, but in my experience, usually when we can get out early is when we get our best spring crops. Of course, most years it remembers to rain. Well, now that we have a few acres behind this drill, my personal opinion is this is really a good tool. I like the seed placement. I like the residue clearance, which is just amazing. It'll walk through an incredible amount of residue. Straw, weeds, whatever it comes to, it's really hard to plug this thing up. Covers a lot of acres. It just does everything you could want it to do. The one complaint that I would have is that the packer wheels that worked so well last fall didn't do as good a job closing the furrows this spring as I would like them to have. Now, when we were planting the spring wheat, we were seeding it into hay sod, and that's a pretty tough condition to work with. You're taking and separating sod and then trying to push it back together. I'm not surprised that we had some issue with that. But here in the feed barley that James is seeding, there's places where it didn't close. And most years that wouldn't be a big deal. But this year, where it forgot to rain, there's a few areas out there where it dried around the seed and the seed did not germinate. I should have cross-harrowed this when he got done. I thought about it, but most of it looked pretty good, and I thought, well, it'll be okay. And if you watch on this part of the video, occasionally you'll see places where the furrow is still laying open. And here in this little part of the field, we've gone on to another ridge. The ground conditions must have just been a little different because this drill is doing just an outstanding job of what it's supposed to do. The furrows are all getting closed up, and the barley came up fast and even. It was really amazing. I got a couple of shots I'll put up here real quick and you can see the difference. This is looking back down the line where the drill was working really well, and you can see that barley looks great. This is the middle of May, and I couldn't ask for more than that. And this is where the furrows didn't close. You can see that it just didn't get a stand there because it left that furrow open and it dried out around the seed. Alright, here's another spot. Really excellent stand. Can't complain at all. Did a great job. And here's another spot where it just didn't close. It's just disappointing. And this is another little patch of feed barley that, that's about as good as you can hope for. I'm really pleased with that. I just wish I'd taken the time to harrow the rest of it. Well, this is what I should have done everywhere. I had this harrow hooked up. This is our spring wheat field, and it was all hay sod. We hayed it last summer. You saw me picking the bales up on it this spring. There was zero tillage, just a burn down application in the fall, another one in the spring, and we seeded right through the sod. Very little disturbance to any of the organic matter or the root structure that was dead and decaying in the ground, but still there holding soil in place. Kind of a perfect scenario, actually. It's better by far than trying to work that sod up and having clumps and balls all over the place. And it did bring out a really good stand, and that little bit of time with that harrow made all the difference in the world. You can see that winter wheat down below, where that was seeded last September with that Agpro drill, and that looks about as good as winter wheat can look in mid-March. Well, friends, I think the music is about to cue, so I'm going to leave you with a few shots of the growing crop. You can kind of see how it is as of June 1. Today's words of inspiration, the Bible verse at the end, is brought to you by my great nephews. They were kind enough to find the words of wisdom for the day. So thanks for watching, everybody. I'll leave you with a shot of some wheat, and in the end, I'm going to be heading off into the sunset. Thanks for watching. God bless everybody. Have a great day.